Drug delivery, especially pharma, is a tiny, tiny piece of the healthcare industry. Within the general economy, it's minuscule. It's probably less than 5% of all revenues and market cap within healthcare. Within the general economy, it's probably 0.01%. But look at this. Four of the 250 richest Americans started, founded, sold drug delivery, especially pharma companies. You may have heard of some of these people. Philip Soon-Shiong founded APP. It was a roll-up in the generic injectable area. Phil Frost and Mike Harris, they're essentially legends within this industry. They co-founded Key Pharmaceuticals, sold it to Schering-Plough 20 years ago. Phil Frost founded IVAX, sold it to Teva for about $5 or $6 billion. Mike Harris took part of his Schering-Plough stock, invested $200 million, founded Coase, and as you'll see, soon sold it for $3.5 billion. So they were two very successful two-time entrepreneurs. And the most recent success is Randall Kirk. Found some technology, University of Virginia Tech, called the carrier wave technology, which conferred NC-like status by altering the kinetics of certain compounds. Founded New River, went public in 2004, sold it in 2007 for $2.6 billion. And in 2008, collected a check to his own account for $1.2 billion. Not bad for 8 years of work. Okay, so what did these companies have in common? Well, they had very smart business plans. Yes, they're a little bit lucky, but they essentially outsmarted generics. They had products that would have long patent lives, long life cycles, and that were in attractive markets. So how do you outsmart generics? There are a number of ways of doing this, but the key way is to start with a product idea and work backwards. I can't tell you how many drug delivery companies I've met in my career that spend half an hour telling me how great their drug delivery technology. They're essentially technologies looking for products. It seems to me the way you want to work it is you want to find the right product and work back and find the optimal drug delivery technology. That said, there are cases where some core technologies will yield a number of different products, some MC-like technologies, prodrugs, but just your classic drug delivery technology that gives you a 3 to 5 year Waxman-Hatch exclusivity is just not going to work. How do you do this? There are a number of different ways when you start out your business plan. The first thing you want to look at is where the managed care pressure is most acute. There's certain therapeutic areas that are off the managed care radar screen, like dermatology. Can you line up your formulation so you'll constantly be ahead of generics? And we'll show you a case study of a company that successfully did that. Do you have the right patent strategy? How difficult are the bioequivalency standards? For example, gastrointestinal drugs and dermatology drugs essentially have no FDA regs for bioequivalency. There have been some GI drugs on the market now 10 years past their patent life that have not been copied. What's been happening recently are branded generic settlements. So as you read the landscape, who are some of the generic filers? How willing are they to settle? What are the terms of the settlement? This is another way to extend the life of your product through negotiation. And finally, the FDA has changed some of their regs. There are hundreds of unapproved products on the market that have been out there for 40 years. Many companies are now capitalizing on this by doing clinical trials, and the FDA effectively gives you a monopoly if you do a clinical trial. All the unapproved products are removed from the market. We'll show you a case study there. So there are numerous ways to strengthen your defense. You have to have some luck, but here's some examples. So let's now look at a couple case studies of some successful companies that were able to do this. The first is one of the premier marketers in the world, Abbott Labs. Some people on Wall Street think Abbott's never developed a product on their own, and they may not have, but they're sure good at marketing other people's products. So let's take Tricor, a well-known fenofibrate drug in the cardiovascular area. Abbott developed a simple controlled-release product, launched a capsule in 1998. 3 years later, achieved sales of $250 million. Before generics could reach the market, they turned it into a tablet, got to be $800 million 3 years later. Then they developed a tablet with improved bioavailability. Years later, it became a $1.2 billion drug. Then they studied the tablet for use with statins, it was approved recently, and it's now almost a $1.4 billion drug. It's the same drug, they didn't do very much to it. They just reworked their formulation every 3 years and stayed ahead of generics. Probably didn't have to invest much money in it. In 10 years, instead of 3 years of sustainable growth, they got 10 years of sustainable growth, and the $1.4 billion product sales probably yielded $1 billion in cash flow.